to capture a venture, can remain afraid. You have to become an equal in every way. So look in the mirror, tell me, who do you see? Is it still you? Is it me? Become the beast. We don't have to hide. To terrify you. Do you feel the light? Do you feel the hunger? That's what howling inside. Does it terrify you? Do you feel the light? The letters of my soul can through your skin, burrow within, burrow within. The letters of my soul can through your skin, and burrow within, burrow within. So embrace the darkness. I will help you see that you can be limitless, limitless. You follow me. We are the light. We shine under the lights. We are the predators, the hunters, the hunters, the hunters. Become the beast. We don't have to hide. To terrify you. Do you feel the light? Do you feel the hunger? That's what howling inside. Does it terrify you? Do you feel the light? Tears of my soul can burrow, burrow. Tears of my soul can burrow, burrow. Tears of my soul can burrow, tears of my soul can you feel the hunger? That's what howling inside. Does it terrify you? Do you feel the light? Hi. All right. So, Laura, can you hear me? Okay. So we're small tonight. It's just me and you. But I also just went live on Facebook because pretty soon I'm going to open up the wait list for next year's group. And so I just wanted to give people a little opportunity to see some of what's going on. Can you still hear me when I'm over here? Más o menos. How about now? Is that better? Yeah? Okay, cool. So while I was just playing music and giving a moment for more people to get here, I just was kind of preparing my little setup. And what I have going on here, I already set my circle. You can see I've got candles all the way around me, so I just have a little circle set. And then I saged, I'm also burning dragon's blood. And I saged myself and all of my tools. And I dressed the candles that I'm using tonight. And I like to carve things into my candles when I'm working with them. So I almost always open with a white candle, even if I'm not working with a white candle specifically, but just for like holding the space and for blessing the ritual itself, and a little bit of a road opener. And so this just has welcome on it and blessings. And then I also dress this with road opener oil. The black candle for Persephone, for the equinox. Oh, somebody else came in. I set myself so far away so you guys can see all my stuff that I literally have to like crawl across the floor to let people in. April's here. I shouldn't even have a waiting room. I should just let people in. Okay. So the black candle is for Persephone, but also this equinox time is really good for security and protection working. So because that goes with the black candle, I went ahead and carved those words in here. And I dressed this with frankincense oil. This is also a really good time for workings related to prosperity and to gratitude. So that's connected to the yellow candle, which is also for Demeter. And I dressed this one with magnet oil and with frankincense oil because this one is prosperity based. This is a love one, and I'll get into why I'm working with this in the second half of the ritual. I'm not going to light it yet, but it has love cards into it, and I dressed this with magnet oil and with love oil. So those three are working here. I'm going to work with this incense later. I also just have a little offering here. So I didn't have apples, so I have a pear. It's close enough. Fall fruit. And then I have a few crystals that I'm working with here. I have an onyx, a amethyst, a rose quartz, a clear quartz, and a moonstone. And I like working with moonstone always, just to open up my own intuitive channels. The other things I have here, and we're going to work with them in a little bit, I have a pen, I have a few pieces of paper to write on, and I have an envelope because one of the things that we are going to write is a letter. So I already blessed my circle and saged it before you guys all came in, but I would like to, and I think I'm going to re-sage as I do this, just open the circle a little wider to include everyone watching, whether you are with me now or watching it later on replay. I just want to extend the circle to include you, to welcome you in, to connect all of us, wherever we are in the world. And at this time, on the equinox, on this balanced day where day and night are the same length of time, and the veil between the worlds is a little bit thin, I just want to invite in our guides, our ancestors, and the spirits that walk with us, that hold our highest good in mind at all time, and invite them to be present for this working. Also, the spirits of this land who are here before me, always welcome in the ritual space. And because tonight specifically we honor the dark goddess energy, Persephone, Demeter, we honor the crone, we honor the coming of winter time, the balance and the importance of the darkness to our pace, to our soul. Even though capitalism doesn't like it so much that we slow down, slowing down is integral and we're supposed to. So we just honor that tonight, honor that energy and invite that to be with us. I'm gonna go ahead and start my white candle. I'm leaving this directly on my tray because I want to read the wax. I might try to leave all of these directly on my tray, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. So with this white candle, I just open the ritual. Inviting us to take a moment to appreciate this divine moment of balance in nature and what that represents for us in our lives. Balancing work and play, balancing highs and lows, balancing our good experiences and our hard ones, and how vital all of them are. This candle, I'm honoring dark goddess energy, Persephone and her descent. All of the wisdom that darkness brings. And with this candle, I'm taking a moment to celebrate gratitude for all of the things that we've brought into our lives so far this year. All of the things I've been able to bring into my life so far this year. All of the prosperity that has made itself available to me and through me this year. We come into the second harvest. So this is going to be a little two-phase ritual, and because this is a harvest, the first part of the ritual is gratitude. So just taking your pen and either paper or your journal, and just go ahead and take a moment to write out everything that you are grateful for that has come into your life this year. I would play music, but I'm using all of my devices right now. I have a long list, you guys. I just keep going. All right. So when you are done with your gratitude list, you can go ahead and fold it however you'd like. And that can stay with your candles while they work. It's just something you're going to put on the altar. Offer it up, your gratitude and your thanks. So now, for the second half, since we're working in balance, first we gave thanks for everything that we've drawn in so far. For the second half, we are going to write a letter to our spirit guides, to our ancestors, to our dead, to any benevolent, invisible counterparts who we feel are supporting and guiding our life, since we have extra access to them during these equinox times. We're just going to write a letter and ask them for guidance, for help, or for support on anything that we're calling in during the next part of the year. You may also choose in this letter to write to Dark Goddess Energy specifically and ask that she take things from your life that is not working in order that something more beneficial for you can grow. However, I like to always caution that mama doesn't play. So if you decide that you are going to call in Dark Goddess Energy and offer up something for removal, even if you're saying, I want you to remove a block, I want you to remove something that feels stuck, she doesn't usually do it gently, and usually that removal requires some breaking open and some ego death. So I like to go big like that sometimes, but if you are feeling like you don't want to invite something to be removed in a way that might feel like chaos, don't do it. um, but that is your call. So you can, again, you can direct this letter to your spirit guides, your ancestors, your dead, and ask them for their assistance with what you're calling in the second phase of your life. Or you can write this letter to Dark Goddess Energy and ask her to remove anything from your life that's not working. Your call, your consequences, your responsibility. Be very, very clear on what you're asking for and how you ask for it. if you are done with your letter, go ahead and read it to yourself one time and just pray over it. Hold your intention for a moment in silence. When you are done with that, you can go ahead and fold it and put it in your envelope. All right. Now, with your letter, you have a couple of options. You can plant it in your front yard or in your backyard. Put it somewhere in the earth near your house. You can put it under your bed and keep it there until the end of the year, or until, if you wanted to, you could keep it all the way until spring equinox. Or you can put it somewhere where you will remember to find it and open it by the end of the year and reread it to yourself, and that is up to you. I think I'm going to put mine under my mattress, so I'm going to let it sit with the working until my candles are all the way burnt out, and then I'm going to put it under my bed. So now on your, whatever you're working on, you should have your candles and both of your letters, your gratitude and your letter. We're going to take a moment in meditation, but you are going to keep your candles, if you can, burning until they all the way burn out. If you have to snuff them, like for fire safety, make sure you snuff them and don't blow them out, and relight them when you get back home and you can watch them. But it's best if you can let your candles burn until they go out naturally. If you like reading wax, I like to do my working on a tray so that I can let the pillar candles burn all the way down onto the tray, and then you can sometimes do some scrying with the wax. You can just look into the wax for images or whatever kind of jumps out at you, whatever it looks like to you to analyze. So just taking a moment to sit up tall, to sit in a way that's comfortable to you. Let's go one palm up and one palm down on your legs. Openings and closings, beginnings and endings, light and dark, moving into Libra season. Taking a moment to invite balance into our own lives, to invite a balancing of our inner energies, to honor the times that we need stillness and rest and quiet and dark, the times that we need to go within to replenish so that we are better prepared to go outward and share. Both energies are welcome. Both energies are vital. Both energies are honored. We have a place in the rhythm of things. Inhale all the way in for 4 counts. And hold for 4 counts. And exhale for 4 counts. Honoring the space between inhale and exhale. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Inhale. Hold. Be in the space in between. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Be in the space in between. And exhale. Inhale. Hold. All my needs are met. All my needs are met. All my needs are met. And exhale. Inhale and hold. In this space, all your needs are met. Feel what that feels like. And exhale. Breathe normally. This moment where we're perfectly balanced in between. And just take a moment to feel thank you. Go ahead and flip both of your palms up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Just fill your being with thanks for everything that you've brought in this year, for all of the experiences that you've had, good and bad, that have taught you, that have molded you, that have shaped you, that have helped you, that have grown you. And if you'd like to stay in that meditative space before we close the circle, I'm just going to go ahead and pull a few cards for us. Anything that our guides would like us to know, would like us to keep in mind as we come into winter, would like to say to encourage us along our path. Mm-hmm. Okay. So here's what I feel from this. We might be, the first card that came up is the dream. This card is about having kind of a romantic fantasy that someday someone's going to come along and make everything easy for you and make you happy. And so what I'm feeling in this is that it's time for us to drop waiting on someone else to do things for us on every level. The thing that's blocking us from doing that, or I guess maybe a different way to say that, is that what that waiting is blocking us from doing is from sharing, is from completely giving from an energy of just true abundance, of having everything that we need and being able to share that energy freely. But let me say this a better way. This card is really about like sharing your natural gifts and abilities and feeling like you're so abundant and so radiant and so overflowing with love and with bounty. She's a very good harvest card to come up. She's like holding a pomegranate seed and a candle. This is like right on track for this holiday. But she is about giving so freely from yourself that you have no question of reward. Like, you know you're going to be rewarded. And she came up inverted. And so what I'm feeling is that being in this place where we are waiting on someone else is blocking us from sharing at the highest level and from giving of ourselves at the highest level. So this may be a business thing. Like, maybe you're like, oh, you know, I need a business partner first, or I need an advisor first, or I need someone else to come in and do this for me before I'm going to be able to share on the highest level. Or maybe it's like, I need a partner to come in to my life and give me love and affection before I can give love and affection. Maybe it's, I don't have a good community around me and I'm waiting on these other people to come in and complete my community so that then I can feel like I am in a circle where like I'm appreciated. And this is saying like, that's the wrong attitude to have. We need to fully drop this. Once I get this from the outside, then I will. We need to drop the if then and just go straight for giving and just go straight for doing it from our whole heart, from a place of complete abundance, and trust that it will grow, that we don't need to wait on anyone else to complete it for us. I might ask for clarifiers for all three of these, but what I'm getting the feeling of is that the place that this gets caught up and the place that we get stuck is in our mind. We get too much in our head. We get too much analyzing ourselves. We get too much looking at the past and thinking about how things have gone wrong before, or old identities like, well, I can't do that because I'm not smart or because I'm not talented, or in the past when I've tried to do this, it hasn't worked out. That all of those like old scripts in our mind are part of what's keeping us caught up in this little drama. I'm going to draw a clarifier for each of these. Interesting. Okay. These are really interesting. So the clarifier for the dream that came up was stress. And this card is really about like trying to do too many things at once, or like keeping yourself busy with things that aren't really important, so that you can make yourself feel important. I want to double check this. Yeah, it's about perfectionism and keeping yourself so busy that you can't be present, that you can't enjoy life. So maybe some of what this dream is like we're telling ourselves that we're going to let ourselves enjoy and appreciate things sometime later when someone else comes and helps us, or like that we can't take the time to enjoy our lives or to give ourselves balance because we're too important. And that it would take someone else coming along to relieve us of some of this responsibility in order for us to take the time we need to take care of ourselves. So that's interesting, but that's what's clarifying the dream card. So if maybe you have this dream that like someday somebody's going to come and take some of this work off your plate, and that's when you're going to be able to focus on the stuff that's really important to you. What this is saying is you're just focusing on stuff that's not important to you now, and you need to knock it off and focus on what's really important, whether that be rest or your own talents, or like just give up this idea that you have to personally do everything and that it's going to take someone else coming along and relieving you of duties. Like just relieve yourself of duties now. That's very in line with what's coming up as the clarifier for sharing, which is exhaustion. I think there's a fear. What I'm just feeling in this is that there's a fear here of burning ourselves out. And it's like maybe a story that we're telling ourselves that if we were to actually give from a place of abundance, it would be too exhausting for us. It would be too much work. It would be too much energy. We couldn't handle it. But that's just a story, and it's not true. This card is not just being about a workaholic. It's about all the ways in which we set up safe but unnatural routines for ourselves. And by doing so, we keep the chaotic and spontaneous away from our doors. Life isn't a business to be managed. It's a mystery to be lived. It's time to tear up the time card, break out of the factory, and take a little trip into the uncharted. Your work will flow more smoothly from a relaxed state of mind. So it's really in line. They're both fire cards. It's really in line with what's coming up in the stress card. And I just want to double check this. This Queen of Fire, and see if there's a clarity that I can gain here. Yeah, when you draw this card, it suggests that you're in a situation where you have an opportunity to share your love, your joy, and your laughter. And in sharing, you find that you feel even more full. There's no need to go anywhere or make any special effort. You find that you can enjoy sensuality without possessiveness or attachment, can give birth to a child or a new project with an equal sense of creativity fulfilled. Everything around you seems to be coming together now. Enjoy it, ground yourself in it, and let the abundance in you and around you overflow. This is about moving from your heart center. So yeah, this is interesting that this is coming up blocked by exhaustion, by inverted exhaustion. I'm getting this message just big time that like we are blocking ourselves from doing what's really important to us with a lot of busy work and a lot of routine and a lot of like how we set stuff up in the past that may have made sense for the past but doesn't make sense now. It's like now becoming a burden. And that when we're burnt out, when we're exhausted, we don't feel creative, so we don't feel attached to the part of ourselves that can give from our heart center. But I also, just because this came up inverted, I feel like it's a lie. And because the stress card came up, like I'm really getting the feeling that all of it is a lie. Like the dream card, the stress card, the exhaustion card, they're all part of this like inner conspiracy we have to keep ourselves from sharing on the level we really want to share. And that we are doing it by telling ourselves this story that like we're too busy, we have too much going on, we need more help, we need someone else to help us, we can't do it. It's like a learned helplessness vibe is what I'm getting from these. The mind card is also, I think it's a knight, but it's a higher level. the Page of Clouds. Yeah, being in a head trip. This is what happens when we forget that the mind is meant to be a servant and we start to allow it to run our lives. The Page of Clouds is telling you that someone somewhere is stuck in a head trip. Take a look and make sure it isn't you. Yeah, it's just mental chatter. And then the clarifier for that card was beyond illusion. Yeah, and it came up inverted. So like, okay, I get it. So the Beyond Illusion card is about not looking outside of yourself to figure out what matters, but looking within yourself to figure out what's important. When we focus too much on externals, we get caught up in judgment. This is good, this is bad, I want this, I don't want that. These judgments keep us trapped in our illusions, our sleepiness, our old habits and patterns. Drop your opinionated mind and move outside. There you can relax into your own deepest truth, where the difference between dreams and reality are already known. And this came up as the clarifier inverted for the mind card. So to clarify what the head trip is, like what it is that we're thinking about, it's other people's judgments. It's what other people think. It's what other people have told us, either about ourselves or about what's good and what's bad, about what we should want and what we shouldn't want. We're just caught up, when we start thinking about letting go of some things that aren't that important, when we start thinking about simplifying our lives, when we start thinking about taking more space to do the things we really want to do, when we start thinking about really freely from the heart sharing our gifts, we immediately jump into being afraid of what other people are going to say or think. And that's the head trip that blocks us from making these changes. And so the answer is we really need to like stop looking outside and look inside, and then change things around on the outside to match what we find on the inside, rather than getting caught up in what's going on around us and telling ourselves a bunch of stories about how we couldn't possibly do what we want because we're too busy, there's not enough time, other people won't let us, we don't have the right support, like all of that. All of that is a very convenient story that we're telling ourselves. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you asked in the second half of the ritual, if you asked the Dark Goddess to take things from your life that might be preventing you from success or from sharing your gifts, be prepared, because if what's been blocking you is a job or some kind of other like external responsibilities, those things might get cleared away to help you. So when they happen, don't be surprised and don't be mad. All right, just asking for. Okay, I asked for like a final piece of advice, and what came up is politics, which is another mind card. This card is, it's a funny one to come up as our final piece of advice. All right, so damn. Okay. It's not a game. This is not a game. I asked for a final piece of advice and we got the politics card, which is basically like, are you faking it? Are you showing people what you think they want to see? Like this whole story that you're telling yourself about how you're too busy or you're too tired or you can't do it or you need other people's help or you're relying on others, like, is that an ego story? Is that a manipulation? Is that how you want other people to see you? Is the truth that it's less threatening to those around you if you stay in that position? Do you want people to think of you as a little bit helpless so that they'll take pity on you? Do you want people to think of you as too overwhelmed and too busy because you want them to think that you're virtuous? Like, this card is about, like, what is the mask that you're showing people? And when you can see the card, it shows like the kind of like commedia dell'arte, two mask faces, like a smiling one and one that looks really sinister. But this card is about how, like, both of those faces are a lie. Neither one of them are the truth. And so this card is really about, like, check your fucking ego on the deepest way possible and ask yourself if all of these stories that you're telling yourself about who you are, how busy you are, how much you have going on, what you are capable of and not capable of, are really just about how you want other people to see you, because it, like, serves you in some way to be seen like that. It serves your ego in some way to be seen like that. It keeps you small. It keeps you safe. All but the most innocent and sincere of us have a politician lurking somewhere in our minds. In fact, the mind is political. Its very nature is to plan and scheme and manipulate situations and people so that it can get what it wants. Here, the mind is represented by the snake, covered in clouds and speaking with forked tongue. But the important thing to realize about this card is that both faces are false. The sweet, innocent, trust me face is a mask, and the evil, I'll have my way with you face is a mask too. Politicians don't have real faces. The whole game is a lie. Take a good look at yourself to see if you've been playing this game. What you see might be painful, but not as painful as continuing to play it. It doesn't serve anybody's interests in the end, least of all yours. Whatever you might achieve in this way will just turn to dust in your hands. Yeah, this card is about being a pretender. Damn. Like, that's cutting. I'm, like, really thinking about that when I look at this whole picture together. So I just want to, like, kind of repaint this picture that what we're meant to be doing, what we should be doing, is just completely freely giving of ourselves, of our gifts, of our love, of our energy. And right now we're holding off on doing it. Partly because we're telling ourselves a story that someday someone's going to come along and make it easier for us to do it. They're going to help us. They're going to bankroll it. They're going to support it. They're going to, like, right. I'm getting this picture of it being like an agent or a manager, like this idea that someone's going to come along and make this opportunity happen for us so that we don't have to take full responsibility for it. In the meantime, we're overburdening ourselves with busy work and distractions and telling ourselves that, like, we have to do all this stuff and we couldn't possibly stop and reevaluate. And that's just an ego story because that shit makes us feel important, but it's keeping us stuck. We're also telling ourselves this false story of exhaustion, right? So because I'm stressing myself out and overworking all this shit that isn't actually important, I am running myself too ragged to share, or I'm just telling myself that I'm too tired and I have too much on my plate. But again, it's a lie. Both of these stories are a lie that are protecting us from the truth that, like, we're really just afraid of judgment. We're afraid of what other people will think. We're overly considering other people's opinions, and we're afraid of, you know, criticism, rejection, abandonment, punishment, always is what we're afraid of. And what we need to do is stop looking at what other people expect of us and look within to what feels right with us. And we also just need to really ask ourselves if part of our fear is that we want other people to like us. We want other people to take care of us. We want other people to give us things. We have relationships in our lives that we know would suffer if we were to be as big as we really want to be, if we were to expand as much as we want to expand, right? Maybe you're afraid that if you were to become as financially successful as you think you can, that it would cause problems in your relationship, that it would cause problems in your family, that it would change certain dynamics that you don't want to change. Maybe you're worried that if you do the things you want to do, the people you were friends with are going to think you're weird. Like, right? Like there's some reason that you are really just playing a game. And you might not be aware that it's a game yet, but if you were to get really still with yourself and really tap into this, like, why am I doing this? You might find that you're doing it because you're telling yourself that others expect it, or that they will continue to like you if you do it. Damn. Given that this is the equinox, that we're in this balanced place, that we're coming into Libra season, that what we're asking for and meditating on in this moment is balance in our lives. This idea of dropping the shit that is not serving you and the stuff that is not completely vital to your highest good seems very pressing, very prescient. All right. Well, I have a lot to think about. So if when you opened your circle, you invited in spirits, ancestors, and guides, you can just take a moment to thank them for coming, for being with you, for working with you, and release them. Thank them for their protection, thank them for their ongoing guidance, for their hands on your life, for supporting this ritual. And with that, the circle is closed. Thank you guys for coming, for being with me, whether you are watching it live or on the replay. And yeah, happy equinox. Go feast, go eat all the things, drink wine, eat delicious things. It's part of the holiday. I'm surrounded by candles. I don't know how I'm gonna get out of here.